Okay, shareholders, today is Tuesday, July 1st, 2025, and when I say shareholders, I mean Bitfarms shareholders. The votes are in, and the shareholders have decided to authorize the Bitfarms board of directors to essentially, at its sole discretion, between now and June, I believe it's June 30th, 2027, so a fairly long runway here, to perform a share consolidation, which is kind of a pleasant way of saying a reverse stock split. I know this has been highly controversial, but shareholders have voted. So at this point, we need to just get behind the board and trust in the board's best judgment as to what's going to happen next, or alternatively, sell some of your shares. Not the end of the world, right? Hey, I know some of y'all are saying, hey, you know what? I've got losses as far as the eye can see. I cannot stomach the idea of taking these losses. I hear you. But if by the same token, you're kind of saying to yourself, hey, I don't believe in management anymore. I don't believe in Ben's vision for this company. I don't believe that the board of directors is acting in the best interest of the company, or the shareholders, I should say. Hey, if that outweighs, right, what you otherwise believe to be a pretty interesting story as it relates to Bitfarms and its potential future growth, right, and development into an HPC AI data center play, then, hey, my advice is to sell the shares. That's tough advice, man. And I'm not saying that in a glib way or in a like, hey, man, I don't care way. No, I get it. It's very, very tough to come to that decision. But once you come to that decision that you no longer want to kind of be as involved in terms of the amount of shares you own, right, or owning any shares at all, I think it just changes your perspective on the company. Like, hey, look, I've been very public in saying that, yeah, I loaded up on shares of Bitfarms. Now, the definition of the word loaded up, it's very subjective. This is nowhere even close to what my involvement with Stronghold Digital Mining had been. But it's enough that, hey, okay, you know what? I'm kind of paying attention to what's going on, but I'm not, hey, look, if Bitfarms rolls over and goes under, it is what it is, right? I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying, right? I'm not like sweating bullets here, worrying about like, my God, what's going on here? Hey, but if you find yourself in a situation like that where you're just like, holy crap, I'm just staring into an abyss of losses and I don't know if I can follow this company to zero if it were to get that bad, which again, I don't believe it's going to get that bad, but I'm just saying, right? Hey, you never know. Hey, my advice to you is to sell your stock. So I'm not giving this as like investment advice. I'm just saying as a friend, hey, if you're saying, hey man, what do you think? I'd say, well, reassess the situation. There's a lot of opportunity out there, right? There's a ton of stocks in the stock market. All right. Bitfarms. Yes. Hey, I'm in geographic proximity, right, to the Panther Creek data center. I'm in physical proximity to the epicenter of really what stands as sort of like the transformative project for this company. So yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing how that develops. It impacts my community. And I have an unusually probative and deep way of kind of knowing what's going on at Panther Creek and, being able to kind of assess what's going on and not having to rely on a press release that may come out once every 6 months or an analyst report written by some guy in Chicago or wherever, right? I'm like right here. And so that, I think, gives me a perspective that's a bit unique, which can also, right, the downside to that, though, is, right, hey, it could drive a little bit of, I think what some experts might describe as like a hyper-focus or a hyper-fixation, right, on something. And that certainly was the case when I was kind of like, full throttle with Stronghold Digital Mining. Yeah, hey, I'm keeping an eye on things and I continue to be extremely bullish on the potential, at least, for the Panther Creek data center to really step into the vision that's been articulated by Bitfarms. Now, a big part of what I think is going to really help sell this story is when you have the excavators, the bulldozers, or whatever's going to be needed to start plowing through land to turn it into something that vaguely resembles a flat surface of land upon which data center buildings and electrical infrastructure can be built. And the reason I say that is because, when you look at the topography of the land adjacent to the already developed Panther Creek Bitcoin mining operation, right? And I'm talking about land that's, I believe, currently owned by Bitfarms, right? It's, I think, through the Panther Creek Operating LLC or whatever the legal title might be. But, this is a land that's already kind of, I believe, owned by the company. When you look at the topography of that land, it's not at this juncture super inspiring, right? I mean, this is like really jagged, wooded terrain, right? That's not, I don't believe, a very, it's not a visual that's conducive with high conviction that I can see like a data center here for HPC AI, right? Now contrast this to, for example, the Lake Mariner facility that's owned by TeraWulf, or leased by TeraWulf, owned by TeraWulf. There's been some consolidation going on within TeraWulf as it relates to some of this stuff. It might be a long-term lease. I'll have to look into that again. But the point is, right, hey, you see these pictures coming out of TeraWulf where, hey, you got like construction crews out there. They've already got, the buildings themselves are there. It's more like, hey, we're showing you how we build out some of our cooling systems and, some of the racking and this and that. I mean, it's like, wow, you can really start to get excited about the prospects of a company, right, that is going into the HPC AI business, a company that, of course, has a customer in the form of Core 42, a subsidiary of G42, right? Hey, and then you see what they're doing and the photos that they're posting. Hey, you start to feel like, wow, man, this is becoming a reality. Right now with Bitfarms, right, and Panther Creek, we have some really impressive, awe-inspiring renditions of what this is going to look like. And yes, you need to have a master site plan. There's no doubt about that, right? You can't just have a bunch of guys show up and start plowing through the woods, haphazardly and kind of like trying to like figure it out as you go, right? That's not really conducive to a successful project, right? So the master plan, I believe, right, I think, or the site plan, however you want to describe it, I think that milestone for that having been completed would have basically been like June 30th, right? The end of Q2. So at this juncture, I'm expecting, right, that we're going to have something a little bit more concrete. Okay. And the part that I'm really, really, really excited about, okay, is when I hopefully, right, hey, maybe I get a message from someone at Bitfarms saying, hey, Steven, we're breaking ground on the new Panther Creek data center. It's in your backyard. Hey, man, if you want to, come on over, check it out, you're welcome to do so. And let's keep it real. There's a lot of public roads around there. I'm going to be checking it out either way, right? And that, I think, is when this story goes from what I know for many people can feel like this, almost like we're in a dream here. We're like in a brainstorming session, right? Where we're just kind of like shooting ideas and kind of formulating little plans here and there. But when we actually start to see something physically begin to manifest, right? Something where, and it's hard to describe this, right? Because, it's like you look at a photo and it can feel real, but man, when you're physically there, okay, and this is hard to convey, when you're physically there, there's an energy, there's something tangible about that, all right, that just really, at least in me, certainly this was true in the Stronghold days, and I kind of feel it now as well. Like there's something that just energizes me about seeing something in real life, right, being developed. When I visited the Berwick nuclear power plant and the adjacent data center, and again, when I say visited it, it's just on public roads and stuff like that. I wasn't like in for a site tour or anything like that. But just being there, I could see the cooling tower to the nuclear power plant. It was probably like 150 yards away from this one road. And you can see in the distance the data centers. And I'm like, man, this is like real. This feels very tangible. It feels electric. It feels like, you could feel the money. You could feel the investment. You could feel the billions upon billions of dollars being poured into this type of project, right? And it feels very much alive, right? Whereas like right now, at least, hey, you go to Panther Creek, And, it feels like I'm at a nature retreat in some ways, right? At least the portion of the site that's, has not been developed. Now we could find out something kind of shocking, right? I don't mean shocking in a bad way, but just like hey, Bitfarms might announce, you know what? Hey, we're shutting down the Bitcoin mining operation at Panther Creek. We're just going to bulldoze, right? The Bitcoin data center buildings, right? Those old strong boxes that are there. We're just bulldoze that away. And I'm saying that in a sort of like a colloquial way. I don't really literally mean bulldoze them away, but, dismantle them, move them away. Hey, we've got this clear land now. We're going to just go ahead and start building a maybe 25 to 30 megawatt HPC AI data center in place of, the Bitcoin mining buildings. If that were to be the case, hey, this is something that could probably get built pretty quickly, because then you don't necessarily have to worry about grading land or anything like that. Now, the reason I don't think that's going to be the surprising announcement is because, if I'm not mistaken, during the most recent investor presentation, during the Q&A, Ben did mention something along the lines of, and again, I'm paraphrasing in a very, very generalized way here, so don't take this as, verbatim, but something to the effect of like, hey, yeah, we really want to, in so many words, I know the word grading the land came up, right? Or site improvements, land improvements. I forgot the terminology. The idea is like, hey, you want to get this land into a condition that you can energize it. So that to me implies that there's this other parcel of land. I can picture it in my mind. I've posted this on X. If you're not following me on X, do so, if for no other reason than to be up to date with what I'm posting in the way of photos and analysis. But there's this parcel of land, which I suspect might be where they're going to build the HPC AI data center. And there's a lot of land that needs to be graded and flattened and kind of, worked on. So, man, I'm excited to see this happen. And I think it has to happen for the stock price to like kind of wake up. I mean, this is like such BS, dude. The share price is pathetic. Let's just say what we all think. Okay. I'm not here to cheerlead a fucking, a 85-cent stock, bro? Like, come on, and I'm not putting this shit on management or on the board or anything like that. But right now, we're not even like a show me story. We're more like a we don't even believe you story. I think the market's sort of saying like Bitfarms is bullshit. It kind of, right? That's the vibe I get. And so the way you sort of break through that level of, just doubt and skepticism is when you actually have either a customer, right? Whoa, a customer. Holy crap. This is real now, right? You have potentially also, or alternatively, land that's being worked on. Hey, we've unlocked the other $250 million that's already been secured by the investment group, right? That's plowing up to $300 million into this data center. I think the market then starts to kind of say, okay, wait a minute, maybe this isn't a bullshit story. This is more of a methodical, right? Hey, very well planned, very well executed story that just has taken a bit of time. Buddy of mine said, hey man, but isn't it true that like, Elon Musk and, XAI or something, they built the Colossus data center in Memphis, Tennessee in like 190 days or 180 days, like some staggeringly quick amount of time. Yeah, but the thing is, right, that wasn't a wooded landscape, right, with jagged terrain that was turned into a functional data center. That, if I'm not mistaken, based on some research I did, that was already like a former manufacturing facility for like electrical supplies or something. And you had a lot of, building infrastructure, a lot of electrical infrastructure. It was more a matter of like the racking and some of the internals. Not so much, hey, we're dropping a, tactical nuclear bomb on this wooded area to flatten the land and build this overnight, right? So it's not quite an apples to apples comparison. But yeah, I mean, hey, would it be great if, Bitfarms could put together a very aggressive plan, right? With the help of contractors to say, let's just get this built. Let's get this done. Let's get this ready for a potential tenant to be able to then get in there, right, into their powered shell, let's say, and really start making the internal modifications that they want to turn this space into something that has the potential to change life for, the world in terms of like an AI discovery or something like that. Sure. That would be amazing. You know, I mean, I don't think any of us want to hear a story about, like, yeah, man, in 3 years we'll have this built. I mean, you know, again, it takes time, but come on, right? Like, I think the goal is for something to be there a little bit sooner than that, hopefully, right? I'm sensitive to the fact that there's a lot of hardship out there in terms of, like, hey, look, you know, there are people that got, what was it, a 10-for-1 reverse stock split, right, during the stronghold era. I mean, I'll have to do the math one of these days. So say you bought 1,000 shares at the IPO, which that was not me. I didn't get involved that early. I only got involved, the stock price was like in the toilet by the time I showed up on the scene in June of 2022. But, you know, somebody who bought 1,000 shares of Stronghold at $19, the IPO price, you know, they were then down to 100 shares as a result of the 10-for-1, right? You know, a reverse stock split. And then, hey, there was a 2.52 share conversion when Bitfarms acquired Stronghold. Now the potential exists for another reverse stock split. Hey, I get it. But here's what I also get, okay? What I also get is that Ben's vision is one that makes a lot of sense. It's logical. It's just the right decision. You know, hey, man, we all love Bitcoin. We all do. Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin mining economics are freaking, it's like trench warfare every 10 minutes of every day. It's brutal. It's tough. It's just, hey man, it's a crappy business in a lot of ways. Hey, when it works and it works well, boom. It's, hey, it's like hitting the jackpot. Those periods of time are kind of few and far in between. And when it's not windfall profits, it's like struggling to survive mode. At least that's what it can feel like, right? A business that does not control its revenue really has a hard time kind of controlling its future. And while it's true that all business is to some extent somewhat unpredictable, let's keep it real. Locking in a win-win contract with a tenant for an HPC AI data center, that's like a, you know, 7, 10, 12, 15-year contract, that provides so much more stability, right? So much more predictability in a business as compared to, okay, guys, Bitcoin has about 6 more months to really, you know, moonshot here, right? Hopefully. We got to then start thinking about the next halving event. Oh, the next halving event, that means having to refresh our Bitcoin mining machines. That means potentially another $300 to $400 to $500 million worth of investment. Where's the money going to come for that when there really necessarily hasn't been the kind of jackpot in terms of Bitcoin mining that I think, you know, we all think could be around the corner? It's crazy, right? So we all believe in Bitcoin. We all like Bitcoin, right? Hey, Bitcoin mining economics, whole different story. I do support Ben. I do support the board. I do support Bitfarms' desire to diversify its revenue into the HPC AI hosting business. The multiples that can be attained by a company that potentially turns into a real estate investment trust that manages and operates these data centers, the multiples can be pretty profoundly better than where we're at today. Today, I do believe Bitfarms is undervalued, but man, try telling that to somebody who they're like looking at their portfolio and they're like, man, dude, I'm down so freaking much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you going to tell that guy or gal to like, hey, you should dollar cost average down into this? Do you think they're going to have the confidence to do that? I mean, it's, you know, right. So I think the next catalyst, and this is just for all of us, right? The next big psychological and financial catalyst in many ways, right, is going to see there be a plan that's put into action and that we actually start seeing movement on the ground. That's, I'm telling you, hey, I'll visit that site once a week, twice a week. I mean, it's in my backyard. It's really close by, you know, just to see the progress. That to me is so phenomenal. It really, really is. But until we actually have that, it can be very, very, it can be very kind of like, man, it's a test of faith, it seems, right? All right, my friend, it has not been easy. Shares of Bitfarms have not been trading, I think, the way any of us would want to see it be trading. I know there's a lot of talk of, man, that riot offer. Holy crap. That riot offer. Right? Hey, we passed something up really good there. Here's the deal. Going forward, there's got to be a vote, right? Any company that comes forward with a proposal, whatever that proposal is, the board of directors of Bitfarms, I believe, has a fiduciary duty to say, hey, look, hey, man, we're going to take ourselves out of the equation. I mean, to me, it's an easy thing. Hey, let Rome decide, right? Let the shareholders decide. Yo, y'all want this? You want it? Yes or no? And we'll follow through with your wishes, right? This business of like the board just saying, hey, yeah, man, we're rejecting that offer. That doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't make sense to me. Let the shareholders decide. I mean, that just makes, that just seems, if I were on the board, I'd be like, hey, why the hell do I want to get in the way of this? Let the shareholders decide. Then, let them, bitch and complain if they don't like the result of what fellow shareholders decided to vote on. You know what I mean? Let me get myself out of the equation here. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's sort of like a path of least resistance argument to be made for just letting the shareholders do whatever they want to do. And I think that's certainly appropriate and true as it relates to any sort of potential offer for the company. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of a big deal. This is crazy, isn't it? What the hell is this company's stock price trading at? It's just nuts. I get it. Listen, my friend, if you like this type of analysis and commentary, if you like my visits to these sites, please support the channel, subscribe to the channel. Look, you see what I talk about. I'm pretty focused on one topic here, right? Generally Bitcoin mining stocks, specifically Bitfarms, but also TeraWulf. I like TeraWulf, and maybe some other companies here and there, but, yeah, like, subscribe, support the channel, and I will continue to support this collective investment we all have in this company called Bitfarms, which, yeah, when does this get easy? When can I get on here every week, every couple of days and be like, hey, we just hit another 52-week high. Hey, we just took out last week's 52-week high. We're bulldozing forward here. This stock is on fire. Hey, the stock's overvalued, right? Wouldn't it be great if that's the debate? Hey, is Bitfarms, is the stock price too high? Is it time to maybe sell because like I've made like a 10x investment in this thing, right? I'm looking forward to those days. I'm tired of always having to kind of be like, okay, guys, better days may come. I know it's hard. Let's hang in there. Let's be positive. Let's be great. And we'll see each other soon, right? Okay, on that note, let's stay positive. Let's be great. And we will indeed see each other again very, very soon.